Tranzit could have been the best zombies map ever made.
Stop it. Get some help.
An open world map with a moving bus connecting multiple locations, each one its own mini survival experience. That concept is incredible. The problem was, the Xbox 360 and PS3 couldn't handle it. So Treyarch had to butcher their own vision. They added fog to hide loading zones because the consoles couldn't render the full map. They added denizens to slow players down so the game had time to load the next area. They put lava between every location to funnel movement and stop people from exploring too fast. None of that was part of the original vision. All of it was a compromise forced by hardware that couldn't keep up with what the developers wanted to build at the time. And here's the thing that people don't realize. There's a ton of cut content from Tranzit sitting in the game files and leaked design documents that proves how ambitious this map was supposed to be. A pre-apocalypse version of the map, a day and night cycle, bus Route B, Hellhounds, bus upgrades with turrets and armor, an upgradable jet gun. All of it was planned, all of it was cut. So today I'm doing two things. First, I'm going through the cut content that should have been in Tranzit from the start, and then I'm sharing my personal redesign. How would I rebuild this map from the ground up in 2026 with no hardware limitations? My ideas won't be everybody's idea of a reimagined map, but they're mine, and I think they would have made Tranzit reach its fullest potential. If you disagree, the comment section's right there. I'll be waiting. Before I get into my own ideas, let me talk about some cut content from Tranzit that would have generally made the map better. I'm not going to go over any cut game modes like Meat or Cleanse or any of the grief variations. I just want to focus on the main Tranzit experience. So Treyarch originally planned for two versions of Tranzit, one set before the events of Moon and one set after. The idea was that if you had completed the Moon Easter egg in BO1, which ends with blown up Earth, spoilers, you would load into a post-apocalyptic version we got. Lava, fog, destruction, everything. But if you hadn't completed the Moon's Easter egg, you would load into a pre-apocalypse version. A bright, fog-free, daytime American town with no lava, no denizens. Think about that. Normal-looking American town that just happens to have a zombie outbreak. No lava, no fog, just a clean, open map. That would have been incredible. They scrapped it because it would have been too complicated and would fragment the player base, since not everyone owned BO1 or a completed Moon at the time. I understand the reason, but man, that pre-apocalypse version would have been a completely different experience than what we got. Early pre-alpha design showed that Green Run was supposed to be much larger than what we got. There are extra areas, back roads, small houses, a motel, alternate bus routes, and a much bigger power station. There was even water, a river or lake, which suggests that lava wasn't originally part of the map at all. The lava was a late addition added only after they committed to the post-apocalypse setting. If the map had shipped as its intended size with all those extra locations, the traversal problem would have been less severe because there would have been a lot more to discover between stops. For years, players speculated about a second bus route. There is a bus schedule sign in Bus Depot that lists times for both Route A and Route B. People theorized that Route B would take you to nuke down zombies, since both locations are broken arrow facilities. This was never confirmed as a real playable feature, but the fact that it was teased in-game means Treyarch at least considered it while developing the map. A second bus route with different stops would have added massive replayability. Now we got on ambush runs. This one is from a leaked design document. While riding the bus, players can randomly enter special ambush zones where the bus would break down and zombies plus hellhounds would spawn in waves. Survive the ambush and you get a max ammo and the bus would continue. This would have made the bus ride between locations actually interesting instead of just sitting there waiting. A risk-reward system where riding the bus could be dangerous but rewarding. Hellhounds were actually planned for Tranzit. All Victus characters except Molten have unused voice lines referencing. Hellhounds chasing you through the fog between locations would have been terrifying and way better than the denizens. I would have loved to see dog rounds on Tranzit. The leaked documents mentioned additional bus upgrades that got cut. A roof-mounted permanent turret and armament plating. The original idea was a permanent defense system with actual armor to reinforce the bus. Imagine a fully armored bus with the turret on top mowing down zombies as you drive between locations. That would have been cool. Treyarch wanted a day and night cycle for Tranzit. They dropped it due to the time constraints and the console limitation. A day and night cycle on an open world zombies map would have been insane. Imagine the map getting darker as round progresses, visibility dropping, the atmosphere changing. That's a feature that still hasn't been done in zombies to this day, besides Shangri-La with this Easter egg, but I don't really count that as much. Now here's where my ideas on how I would remake Tranzit if I was in charge. These will not be everyone's idea of a reimagined map. These are mine and how I think Tranzit could reach its fullest potential. Obviously the first one is remove the fog. This is the obvious one. Get rid of it. The fog has existed because of the PS3 and Xbox 360 couldn't render the full map at once. Modern hardware doesn't have that problem. Let's see the map. Let us see between locations. Let us appreciate the scale of what Treyarch originally wanted to build. The fog served a technical purpose that no longer exists in 2026. Remove it entirely. Without the fog, the map immediately feels different. You can see the diner from Bus Depot. You can see town glowing in the distance. You can see the power station from the farm. That visibility changes how the map feels because you can actually plan your routes and see threats coming. Rework the denizens. I wouldn't say get rid of them completely, maybe just change how they work. I would say maybe make them more like the ghost zombies in Ashes of the Dam, where they chase you between areas and disappear once you reach a location. But that's already been done, and it would be boring if I just copied what already exists. So here's one of my idea that people may or may not like. Since I want denizens to still be part of the Easter egg, I'll keep them. But instead of jumping on your head and blinding you and scratching you, they just attack you normally. Kind of like the Ravagers from BO7. They're aggressive, they're fast, they're dangerous, but they don't latch onto your face and take your ability to see and move. That mechanic was never fun. Make them a legitimate enemy you have to fight, not a gimmick that punishes you for walking between areas. I would say keep the bus, but add a fast travel. The bus stays, Ted stays, the bus route stays, the bus is iconic, and removing it will lose Transit's identity. But I would add teleporters between every major locations as a secondary fast travel option. Here's how I would do it. Each location has a denizen mound that you can activate. Once you activate 2 mounds, a teleporter link opens between those 2 locations permanently for the rest of the game. You can build your own fast travel network as you play. The bus is still there for the full tour experience, but if you need to get from town to the power station quickly, you can teleport. This solves the biggest complaint about transit, the traversal time. You still have the bus for the intended experience, but you also have options for experienced players who know the map and just want more to move efficiently.
I would also say for the bus is to either find a key or find a option to get a bus ticket so you can give Ted the bus ticket whenever you want to go, so it doesn't move until you give the bus driver the bus ticket. And I think that would be kind of cool idea. Now I would say remove most of the lava. I wouldn't remove all the lava, just most of it. Some of it does fit the most post-apocalyptic setting, but the lava between every single location is overkill. Keep lava around the power station, keep some around town for atmosphere, but the paths between locations should be clear. You should be able to waft from Bus Depot to Dino without taking damage. The lava was there to punish player for leaving the bus, but if you remove the fog and rework the denizens, you don't need lava as a punishment mechanic anymore. Players should be encouraged to explore on foot, not punished for it. Now, for this one, I would expand the locations a little bit. Every stop on Transit should feel like a mini-map within a larger map. In the original, most stops feel like 1 or 2 rooms. Here's how I expand on each one. For Bus Depot, I would add a back office area with a wall by and maybe a buildable part or like a key for the Easter egg. Make the starting area feel less like a dead end and more like an actual bus station. For Diner, I would add the motel that was in the cut content. The diner becomes a small complex with the restaurant and motel with the rooms you can open and the gas station. More space, more wall buys, more places to hold out. For farm, I would add probably just a silo area so it feel like a proper location, kind of like how BO7 had their farm. The farm on Transit wasn't as bad as some of the other ones in terms of how scale it was, but it feels like you don't really need to go there besides a bus park. For power station, I know it was supposed to be much larger according to the pre-alpha designs. I would just say expand it with additional generator rooms, a control center. Town is already the most developed location. What I would add is just add a couple more buildings, and obviously I would add a wall by. Now onto the obvious one is to make the Pack-a-Punch more accessible. In the original, Pack-a-Punch requires building the turbine and then placing it at the power station and hoping it doesn't get destroyed while you run to town and blow up the vault. It's one of the most tedious Pack-a-Punch setups in franchise history. My fix is once you turn on the power, you have to get a key from Bus Depot to get into the vault with the Pack-a-Punch. The original Transit Easter egg was underwhelming. You build a device at 3 different pylons and choose Maxis or Richtoff side. My redesign would keep the dual path concept but make it more involved. Both paths should take you to every location on the map. The Easter egg should make you use the bus, use the teleporters, and fight through every area. The final stop would involve a boss fight. Obviously, we got the Avogadro kind of boss fight in here. It wasn't really a boss fight in Transit, but I would say make him more of a threatening figure as in BO4's Alpha Omega, kind of make it like that. It should be more of a reward than just,
a tower light node. That's how I would remake Transit in 2026. Obviously, there's been other ones, on the workshop in BO3, all those, but this is my personal take. Remove the fog, rework the denizens, expand every location, add fast travel, bring back some cut content that should have been there from the start, and give it a proper Easter egg worthy of its ambition. Transit's concept was never the problem. An open world zombies experience connecting multiple locations with the moving bus is a generally creative idea. The technology just wasn't there in 2012. But in 2026, with modern hardware and everything we learned from Outbreak, Modern Warfare Zombies, and open world gaming in general, Transit could finally be what Treyarch originally envisioned. Let me know in the comments what you would change about Transit, and if you'd like to see a remake from Treyarch. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.